Now, ACFODE has been part of the conversation around women empowerment and women rights since 1985. And they're not slowing down. They're part of this conversation on Fasi Fas. We caught up with the Executive Director, Regina Bafachi, to answer why. Now, we're sitting down with Regina Bafachi, from ACFODE, who are one of the partners on the Fasi Fas project. But before we get into, talking Fasi Fas, Regina, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So let's talk a bit about ACFODE.
Yes.
What exactly does ACFODE do?
Thank you very much. ACFODE is one of the leading women's organizations in this country, having been formed in 1985. Our main purpose is really to advocate for women's rights and advocate for gender equality. ACFODE does this through different interventions. We have different areas of focus. We have governance and promotion of women's leadership. We do empowerment of women. We respond and prevent gender-based violence. We also have mentoring programs for young people.
A couple of times you're having conversations with people and they're wondering, why are we doing this? We don't seem to be going anywhere. What kind of progress has been made between 1985 and now towards realizing a society that is equal?
Of course, we have seen progress. For example, when you compare what was happening around that time, very few women were in leadership positions, especially both political and public spaces. We had a few women who were involved in formal businesses. Majority of the women were involved in agriculture. We had a few women who would even attain higher education status, but at least with the 1.5 affirmative action, we have more girls now attaining higher level of education. We have at least more of the girls also attending school. But of course, we still have challenges with retention and, of course, dropout. But of course, we have also seen many other women occupying positions that were previously male dominated.
Okay, so you're one of the partners on the program Fas Fas, and Fas Fas is part of a much bigger. I mean, I was looking at the website of ACFODE, and it's much bigger project. That you are going to be, rolling out around the country. Yes. Can you just tell us a bit of the things that you're going to be doing in addition? Because people say, you Fas Fas, you're doing it for people in town. What about, my mother or my grandmother in Namukaka, down that side in the village? What is ACFODE going to be doing to make sure the same messages reach those people?
Yeah, thank you very much. Fasi Fas is part of actually the program that we are implementing in partnership with KAS, with Mango Tree, and with financial and technical support from the UN Women. Yes. And the project is about creating awareness and support for women in leadership and gender equality. And big as it sounds, it means that you're actually going to roll it out into 5 districts of this country. We are going to have it in Guru, we are going to have it in Moroto, in Palisa, Kamuli, and Kampala. Of course, not covering the whole of Kampala, but at least the beauty is that with, of course, like a program like Fasi Fas, the whole of Kampala will be covered. And so, other activities that are under this project include, of course, development of different materials that we are going to use when we are conducting civic education. We shall have a handbook, we shall have posters, we shall have a training manual that we are going to use to educate, to conduct a training of trainers for the civic educators, who will in turn be
training
expected
people,
to go and train others. But in the selection of the people that are supposed to train, we are being deliberate, especially with regard to the targeting. We want to look at those people who have influence. For example, the clan leaders will be targeted. The religious leaders will be targeted, as well as the youth.
At the end of all this, at the end of when we've done so many episodes of Fasi Fas and we've taught people about civic education. What do we hope to be the end result of this?
The end result of this is we want to see people's perceptions about women in leadership change. We'd like to see their attitude towards women who aspire, who contest, who come up as maybe agents, voters, supported. But of course, the end result is we would like to see more women occupying as many as possible leadership positions, especially those that have been looked at as a reserve for the men. We would like to see more women contesting for the direct seat, for instance, and this population supporting them, not actually shunning them, not belittling them, and giving them all the necessary support that they deserve.
Now, you've heard from KAS, from Mango Tree, you've heard from ACFODE, people who have been part of this project, and now you hear from UN Women. Now, their intent on developing and upholding an environment where women and girls can exercise their human rights and live up to their full potential. We talked to their Deputy Country Representative, Anna Mutavati, on why it's important to have a TV show like Fasi Fas, and especially a TV show that's talking about political participation of women.
This program and the campaign that we are running, that we're calling the Fasi Fas campaign, is part of a bigger program where UN Women is supporting government of Uganda to achieve its commitments on ensuring that women take up positions of leadership and positions of decision making, and that they are part of decision making processes at national planning, budgeting, and at all levels indeed. So to be able to do that, we are aware that Uganda is largely a patriarchal society where there is a general belief that women's role is not on the decision-making table, that women are supposed to stay at home and raise children and care for families. And while the men take up leadership positions, men decide how the national budget is to be run, how the national programs are to be run, and at different levels. So this program is an attempt to start reversing that kind of thinking. So I must say that this is part of a bigger program, as I have mentioned. This program is different strategies to ensure or to support or facilitate the participation of women in leadership. It was designed in 2015 as part of a larger program with the Office of the United Nations Development Program in Uganda, UNDP, and also the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights in Uganda and UN Women. So the three agencies came together to develop a package for support to the electoral process in Uganda. And the role of UN Women in that joint framework of support to government of Uganda was to address gender issues in electoral processes and procedures. And one of the things that came up very strongly was the need to address the knowledge gaps that we have. For example, what was coming out was that there were a lot of knowledge gaps amongst the communities where some believed that women could not be voted onto any other positions apart from those that are set aside for women. So if you have a woman, a member of parliament, then there is no other place for a woman to compete. It left out all other electoral positions to men only. So of course, that was a serious knowledge gap in terms of the operating electoral laws in Uganda. And we had to pick that up to address the knowledge gap. Also, many other things that were presenting is generally that the population of Uganda had serious misinformation, or they were uninformed, or perhaps they were just ignorant about what the laws actually say. So we stepped in with this civic education program to ensure that, one, we address those knowledge gaps, but it is also a program that we wanted to start off addressing the attitudes. We, in our interactions with the communities, with the different societies where we work, it became very clear that there was a serious negative attitude towards Ugandans accepting a woman leader. Like I said, because of patriarchal beliefs and attitudes, most of them that we talked to were not ready to be led by a woman. So this campaign, therefore, on civic education became very necessary. And then there are issues of, in addition to knowledge, attitudes, there are actual practices. A lot to do with malpractices around electoral processes, issues to do with violence that's related to elections, issues to do with monetization of politics, issues to do with sexual harassment, alleged sexual harassment and sexual exploitation of those who want to come through the different positions in their parties, issues to do with intimidation, issues to do with stigma. If you decide to stand as a political candidate or a candidate for political office in your community, you are labeled, you are called all sorts of names. It might even lead to divorce in some instances. I mentioned violence, I think, as you saw, how the members of parliament conducted themselves during the age limit debate in parliament. So then that just validates some thinking, some thinking in society where they say, you see, politics is a dirty game, it's violent, and it's all that. So in short, the civic education program was conceived from the electoral support program of the United Nations to government of Uganda in 2015. However, we only launched it in 2017, and our plan is to get this going on a cyclical basis and not just tagged to elections, because we know that to influence knowledge, attitudes and practices, we really need to invest long term. For us, this campaign is very, very important. We need to reach every corner of Uganda. If we are to cause the volume of change that we need to see to start turning around this trend where women are relegated to just support functions and not being used to being seen on the decision-making table, we really need to reach every Ugandan in every manner possible. So we looked at various ways that our community engagements were going, and normally we are not able to reach so many people in any given sitting. So, for example, you would get a partner organization arranging a community dialogue in Community X, and the most people that they can reach there is perhaps 50 people, because then you also need to control the discussions in the dialogue. So while that is very good because it allows you to have in-depth discussion, we also felt that it needed to be complemented seriously by a larger and wider reach to all corners of Uganda. Because if you are going to be targeting small numbers of people, while that's good for intimate discussion, it will not cause us the change that we're looking for. We'll be able to get community views back, and that's something we are really emphasizing on, that this campaign must not just channel information to the public. We must also hear what the concerns are. And that will be our evidence, you know, to then say we need policy interventions here, or we need more investments in this area where it's clearly showing that it is a knowledge gap or it's an attitude problem. So we're really depending on this campaign to create that dialogue, that conversation with the population, because we certainly know that we don't know it all. We want to hear what the population is saying, so that together we create something that can work to change the status quo.
Now, of course, thank you so much for being part of the show yet again. We don't take this for granted. And of course, thank you everyone who's in touch with us on our social media. Please feel free to go there. Fasi Fas on Facebook and on Twitter. We're always looking forward to hearing your feedback and your thoughts. And also, if you'd like to be on the next couple of episodes of Fasi Fas, there is a call on our social media pages. Just go and comment there. From here, David, goodbye, God bless. And let's continue to make some noise.
For more information on women and political participation, go to http://africa.unwomen.org.